Hey everybody, it is Commander Marvel. This is Greg and my buddy Knightshade Matt, and this is our third episode, even though it's chapter 2 as I like this as I branded it, both on the video cast and the podcast, because obviously you have to have a chapter 0 origins to start everything off.
Yeah, like a
Yeah,
good old
so
Batman issue 0. I remember
yeah,
when Batman issue 0 came out, and I got a copy of that.
Yeah, everybody forgets. That's the thing. It's like everything starts with 0. That's where it begins. It's always the prequel that leads into it's the intro that leads into everything else. So
Right.
yeah. So well, here we are. It is 2025. It's a new year, dude. You're a new dad. Congrats.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, baby is happy and healthy. He's waking us up a lot. My wife more so than me, because she has to do the feedings and she has to do the actual hard work.
Right.
But yeah, he is pretty much as cute as they get. And you just recently came back from America. How was your trip?
It was long. It was just long.
Yeah. You really haven't said too much positive about your trip.
Well, okay. So here's the deal on the trip. Okay, I went to California. Okay, California is not where I'm from. It's
Right.
where it's where my mother and my sister live, and and I was happy to go see it. I was happy to go see the family for the holidays, but it's California. We had to fly into L.A. Now we flew into L.A., did our, drove to the middle, to the Mojave Desert where my mom and my sister live at. Had a great time with my brother, the whole family. We were only missing one family member. No, so it was great to get together with everybody. But traveling from Japan to the States is long. I mean, it sucks. I mean, it's draining on you. I mean, even anybody who's not traveled internationally or not traveled from Asia back to the States, and then you've got the holidays thrown in there. Now, it was great being with the family, had a good time, then spent the last part of it in LA, and we left 2 days later, the whole town caught on fire. So all of those videos you see of the Pacific Coast Highway being on fire, we were driving down that like 3 days, maybe I forget how many days, but just a few days before that all got, went up like a bonfire.
Wow.
Yeah. Drove through Malibu, took the Pacific Coast Highway from Santa Monica all the way up to Oxnard and then back again. It was cool, beautiful. But yeah, then, a couple days later, you see everything up in flames. And I'm just thinking, man, everything that we saw, because I'm watching the videos and it's like, yeah, I remember everything along the coast was on fire,
Yeah.
was pretty much has been destroyed. So kind of sobering.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was, yeah. So, America was, America, American. And, I don't know when I'm going to be getting home again. Probably in the next year and a half, probably head back. But yeah, it was a long trip. It was long. It was good to see family, good to see brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews and my mom and all that. That was the best part. But for me, just any more traveling is just, it's a hassle nowadays.
Yeah, it really seems that way. I'm hoping that I'll be able to handle the hassle whenever I go back to the U.S. later this year. Because like you said, it is really about the family, seeing people that you haven't seen in a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And that was
It's,
the best part. Everybody was smiles and it was great. It was the first time we'd all been together for the holidays in maybe a decade. So that
oh wow.
was, yeah. So that was the best part. Mom cooked Christmas cookies, and had peanut butter cookies that I hadn't had, and since I was a kid. So I mean, there was, but then during part of that, talking about reason things that kill a vacation, I ended up getting sick.
Oh, really? Wow.
I had a stomach flu like the day after our family got together, our big shindig. So I think, and the problem was it was gluttony. I ate way too much,
Yeah.
and I was down for the count for about 2 days. So that took that you know that was that took some air out of the balloon.
Yeah, at least, thank goodness you didn't have to partake in the ultra expensive American healthcare system.
Oh yeah, I avoided that. I mean, I've got health insurance, so it's not wasn't too worried about it, but you
Oh,
know,
wait, so you still have health insurance? I guess, is that from your time in the military?
no, I'm retired, so you know,
Oh.
I got the best of both worlds. I got health insurance
Oh,
here, I got health insurance there. I got it all covered, man. Yeah, going to no, I had between my wife, between my wife, my mom, my sister-in-law, my sister, I had, four women in the family, better than doctors. So they all took care. I was well covered on the medical end just with that right there. Yeah.
okay, well, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So and how was your Christmas, by the way? Now we're talking about it because the baby came
2
shortly.
days
Yeah.
after Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, he came about 2 weeks and change early because he was supposed to be born 3 days from now.
Yeah. Well, that's what I remember you saying. It's like middle of January, and then I get the message from you. It's like it's happening now. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what? Yeah.
Yeah. You know, my wife and I, we were watching Harry Potter of all things, and we had plans to go to the grocery store and get some popcorn to watch some more Harry Potter movies. And wouldn't you know it, my son decided to interrupt the fun, and she went to the restroom, and then her water broke. It
Oh
wasn't like
wow.
it wasn't even a full break. It was just like a little break. And then they're just like, well, it was enough of a break for us to warrant going to the maternity clinic here.
Yeah.
Like, unlike in the U.S., at least that I know of, Japan has, you have the normal big hospitals that you can go to, and some
Right.
people have their babies there, and it's great. Well, my wife had scheduled this maternity clinic, which she had been going to the entire time throughout her pregnancy, and the doctors there took care of her. And they checked, like, oh, is it time for the baby to come? Because sometimes fluid can come out, and it's
Yeah.
not the baby coming. But no, no,
Right.
no, the baby was coming, and he was ready to come. And she had a pretty easy birth. Well, not easy, because of course it's not easy, but from what other women have told me, they said, oh, mine was 24 hours, mine was 48, mine was, very long. She was able to pull it off without any painkillers, mind you, because my wife is a badass.
Yeah.
She was able to pull it off, and I want to say it was around 12-hour mark.
Okay.
Actually, maybe less than that. Uh,
So it was
well,
complication free.
yeah, for the most part.
Okay.
She had some issues where the doctors were worried about her blood pressure and stuff like that, but we didn't even have to have a C-section like we originally thought.
Okay.
But yeah, she came out, gave full natural birth, no painkillers, which is amazing to me. I would have been demanding them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you, man. I would. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bump my toe and I'm just like, man, some painkillers would be nice.
So, but baby and mom are good.
Yeah, man, they're great. And my wife sends me cute little pictures all the time too of them whenever I have to go away, even for like a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I recently had to come, go away to go to town to get some paperwork for my son, because Japan loves its paperwork. I have to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, this place
Yeah,
is just one giant bureaucracy.
that's for real. So I had to go get some paperwork to go away and do this, and so she sends, like, even though I was gone less than a day, she was sending me cute pictures of the baby.
Nice, nice.
But
Well, between now that the baby's here, you're gonna be spending a lot of time sitting at home. You're a dad now, so you're gonna be a lot of time with the kid
oh yeah,
and being a good husband and everything. So, unfortunately, since the last time you and I talked to now, you got all set up on your Marvel subscription I think that you said the DC one is coming. I don't know if you've signed up for DC yet. So,
yeah. I
you
haven't
got
done.
plenty to keep you occupied.
Yeah, because that's right. I mean, I was Happy New Year's to everyone. But I was, thinking New Year's, new comics. Well, not necessarily new, right? Because I've been a fan of Doctor Strange for years. I had his first appearance ever. I have the first appearance of the Juggernaut. If I'm not mistaken, Juggernaut was originally a Doctor Strange villain.
Really?
Oh yeah, because Juggernaut's power, because he's not really a mutant, right? His power comes from the extra dimensional entity Satorak,
Okay.
and Satorak is a villain of Doctor Strange. Um, but yeah, so his Juggernaut's whole, his powers come from Satorak.
Okay.
Now, anybody out there in the comics world, feel free to correct me if I'm misquoted, or if you want to just like push up your glass and say, well, actually, he's from this, and you're wrong and stupid. So please feel free to leave those comments below.
I hope we do, because I'd like to see some comments. Even people ripping us a new one and just making fun of us. Be happy because that means they're watching. So
Yeah, you can rip him a new one, but be nice to me.
yeah,
Yeah, he's retired military. He's tough. I
yeah, I don't know
am.
about that, but
I am not retired military, so decidedly less tough.
yeah.
But
So in terms of your reading list, what do you got?
oh yeah,
What do you got planned for this coming year while you're you know being a good dad with a newborn at home, and you're gonna have a lot of downtime. I mean, between I know you're gonna have a lot of time sitting there being a good dad and just making sure the kid's okay.
yeah. It's going to be a lot of just holding the baby and helping him whenever he cries.
Right.
But my main goal really this year, my comic book New Year's resolution is I really want to read through all of Amazing Spider-Man and get up to date with that, because so far I've read the first 7 or 8 issues, and
Yeah.
that's kind of my resolution, because it is a good series and I'm really enjoying it. The art is great. It's a lot of the art is done by John Romita Jr. I really like John Romita Jr. That he's just masterful penciler. And then lately, I've been also reading some of Doctor Strange. In fact, those of you that don't know it, that if you have an iPad, you can take a really good screenshot resolution of the comics that you're reading and then print them out. So this is one issue from the Doctor Strange comic book. I really like the cover. It's by Alex Ross. And you can print them out at pretty good resolution and make little posters for yourself. Like over here, you can't really see it, and behind here,
Yeah.
I have comics that I printed, like a picture of the comics that I've printed, just to have little posters to decorate my room.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah. So
I can't fit any more in this room, man. I'm on the other side of this, on the other side of the screen here. I've got my complete Commander Marvel. I'm not Commander Marvel. My complete Captain Marvel family action figures, and got a Green Lantern up there too. So, and a couple signed. Got a Jackson Bostwick signed cover of Shazam #1 from the '70s, and then I got a signed comic book from the original Batgirl, Yvonne Craig.
Oh wow,
So,
that's cool.
yeah. Then over here, down here, I've still got they're hidden away, but I've got signed photos from Jackson Bostwick, also from Adam West and Yvonne Craig. So, you know,
That's really cool.
yeah, that's yeah. I mean, Jackson Bostwick's still around and he's still signing autographs. But yeah, just to have Adam. Actually, I've got one of the pictures. So Yvonne Craig signed one picture. I sent that to Adam West and he signed it. So I've
Oh,
got
that's cool.
two. Yeah, I didn't realize. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I did that. So yeah, because yeah, I mean they're both gone. So you know, and that was the one thing when I made the move. It's like, yeah, those I'm taking with me. I'm not throwing those away.
You know, do you know who Steve Ditko is?
Yeah.
Okay, so so you said you sent these things into Adam West and Yvonne Craig, and you got these autographs, and that's super cool. Well, Steve Ditko is notoriously not a fan person, and in my younger years, I did some Googling and I found Steve Ditko's phone number, and I called him to ask him if I could get an autograph from him on some Doctor Strange material.
Yeah.
And his answer was, of course, no.
Oh,
He
really?
wasn't. Yeah, because, well, he's renowned as not a people person, and really,
And you did call. I mean, in his
I
defense, you
called him
did
out at
you cold called him.
Yeah, I cold called him, and because I was just like, "Is this Steve Ditko?" I was just like, but he's since passed away. So the only thing that I
Yeah.
have, from the legendary Steve Ditko, creator of Spider-Man. I'm not going to say co-creator because I have feelings on that, but he's the creator of Spider-Man and creator of Doctor Strange. Um, and people in the comments feel free to disagree with me, but that's my one claim is that I have that my one claim to some cool person is I got to talk to him very briefly on the
Yeah.
phone.
Oh yeah. I've had on one of my football podcasts. I was trying to get of all people, it was Bud Grant, who coached the Minnesota Vikings, was
Okay.
following one of my Twitter accounts. Um, and he was, he was a big star in the Canadian Football League, obviously the National Football League, but he was following me. I'm like, oh
All
my
right.
God, Coach Grant? I mean, at the time, Coach Grant was in his 90s.
Yeah.
Messaged him, tried to get him on the show and everything. It didn't work out, but we had a correspondence going. Same thing with Marv Levy, who another great football coach. So I've had those moments, and even I'm friends with in the professional football history type realm. At least one person I'm really good friends with, whose father was the former. He made the NFL what it is today. So, so no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, to have those conversations, but yeah, that's you cold called him. I mean, but yeah, was he a dick to you on the phone, or was he pretty cool to
Like
you on the phone?
he wasn't. I'll say this: he wasn't a dick, not at all. Like he just wasn't friendly. Like he was, obviously upset by the phone call because I cold call this guy. I'm a complete stranger out of the millions of Doctor Strange fans. I'm a complete stranger, and I'm calling him trying to get an autograph, trying to get a stranger who, until 2 seconds ago, had no idea existed to do a favor for me. That's just
Yeah,
bizarre. It's a
yeah,
bizarre thing.
yeah.
But
Well, it's funny you should mention. Now you're telling me the story. I'm thinking of a funny story I got. A buddy of mine was in the Navy. Um, he had the same name as a very famous baseball pitcher.
oh yeah.
So one day he got in the mail a whole bunch of pictures with the request for him to sign them. Obviously, the person didn't realize he sent them to the wrong person. So I asked my buddy, I go, so what'd you do? He goes, I fucking signed him and sent him back.
Wow.
So yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
cool,
I,
man.
I
That's
do I do have one cool piece of autographed memorabilia. I got it while you were gone.
yeah.
So the world #1 chess player, Magnus Carlsen. Oh, I just dropped it. Oh my goodness. Sent me an autographed chess piece directly from him.
Oh wow.
Yeah, directly from him. Because I happen to follow his new company on Twitter,
Yeah.
and I won a contest that I didn't even know I was in. Me and a couple other people won autographed chess pieces from him and his new company that he had started.
Oh, nice.
And so now I can say that I have like definitively his autograph. And I looked up how much it was worth out of curiosity,
Yeah.
and nobody else has anything like that online. So roughly, I could estimate it's worth about $600 US.
Oh, cool. Cool, man.
And I could also see, like, since I have very authentically, since it came straight from him and his company, his autograph,
Yeah.
I can see the other autographs of his that are listed on sale.
Yeah.
I can see which autographs are most likely real and which autographs definitely aren't.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was just like, that doesn't look like a real Magnus signature.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing nowadays, man. The sports memorabilia in general, you always got to like double check with autographs and everything, because it's too easy nowadays for people to get scammed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think I'm done on all my autographs. So that's why when I sent them away, I went right to the source. So Adam West, Jackson Bostwick, and Yvonne Craig. I even got a call from Yvonne Craig's publicist, because she was a little late. She goes, "Hey, I hope you don't mind. We got your stuff. We just haven't gotten it out yet." I'm like, "Oh no, that's fine." But I was hoping it would have been Batgirl, but she was like in her 80s at the time. So, but I'm like, she's not there, is she? Goes, no, she's not there. I'm like, man, I just wanted to, just to say I talked to Batgirl. That would have been the highlight for me right there. That would have been worth more than any of the autographs, just to have a
Oh yeah.
conversation. Yeah.
It really would have been. The only other claim to fame that my family even has is my mother is friends with Garth Brooks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so she texts him from time to time, and recently he has a honky tonk in Nashville, which I think just basically means club. Um, and recently she contacted him and said, "Oh, hey, we want to have our family reunion thing," and it was a smaller version of one.
Yeah.
At your honky tonk in Nashville. And he said, "Oh yeah, sure." And he was the coolest guy ever because he refused to take any payment for it. And my parents had no idea because they're under the presumption the whole time that they're going to pay for their meals and everything,
Right.
and everyone's meals at the club. But I think it was one of the waitresses or one of the managers or something. I can't remember the story exactly. And she said, "Oh, Garth said to say this is on him."
Oh, cool.
So he's a super sweet guy, and
Yeah.
and he took care of my mom, so I have to be a big fan of him. I don't listen to much of his music. Heck, I don't listen to hardly any music at all. But he's a super sweet guy, and if somebody treats your mama right, they're good people.
Oh yeah. 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 No, I'm like you, man. It's like, yeah, if you yeah. Yeah, a lot of these people that are famous are pretty down to earth. So
Yeah, they don't forget where they came from, but I feel like we've strayed away a little bit from the subject.
little bit, but that's okay. We haven't talked in. It's been at least 2 to 3 weeks since last time we talked. So
Yeah, it has been a
yeah.
minute. But how about you? Do you have any comic book New Year's resolutions?
Oh yeah, no, I've got. I've been digging hard in the Dynamite on Comicology with the Dynamite
Oh, okay.
selections. So I'm working on right now Masks 2. I finished, for those who haven't read any of the Dynamite stuff, you're missing out on a lot because I mean they take the old public domain pulp characters and put a nice either just a they basically create their own new stories with these classic characters that to me make them feel make they feel fresh. So using, for example, the Shadow, the Green Hornet, the Spider, and like the Spider. Oh, and the Black Bat is another one. Putting them in either setting them back in the 1930s when they originated, or even putting them in a modern setting. The storytelling's great. The artwork's fantastic. And I can't get enough of what I'm reading with Dynamite. And Miss Fury is another one I got to dig into. And the great thing about with Dynamite is, like with Project Superpowers, they took the old they dove deep in the public domain and bringing these characters out of obscurity and kind of making them their own. But the beautiful part about that is the public domain characters remain forever now in the public domain. So anybody who is interested in writing comics, drawing comics, and if you're looking to create your own version of the Justice League or the Avengers, you just dig right into the public domain toy box and root around the bottom and see what you can pull out. For instance, the Black Bat is a great is a great character. He's not Batman, but there are some similarities. There's one character, the Owl, is another version of it. To me, the public domain comic book characters are the most fascinating because these are characters people have forgotten about. And if you're on Facebook, especially Facebook's got a strong, some of these the public domain groups are really fun to be in because everybody, kind of like you and I, loves comics, wants to be creative, and yet every one of us can use these characters, and we don't have to worry about getting sued with copyrights or anything, and we can do with them whatever we want. Like Popeye just came out in the public domain. Well, now he's fair. People now can make movies about Popeye and not have to worry about getting sued.
Yeah, and it's not exactly comic books, but Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah,
I believe Winnie the Pooh is public domain now.
Yeah, and if anybody's looking on our website, we've got links to some of the public domain. Like Comic Book Plus has a whole bunch of public domain stuff. Off the top of my head, I can't think of we've got links to all the main public domain sites, comic sites on the website. I was just thinking in terms of. And I just had a thought in my head. I can't remember it. When in terms of with public domain characters and oh man, I just lost my train of thought. So my bad.
No, that's all right. So it sounds like you have quite a lot built up for your comic book New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, man. After we get off here, I'll probably spend good another half hour before I head to bed reading a little, at least reading the next chapter of Masks with Comicology. And I just I like the public domain characters. I mean, I love DC, I love Marvel, but there's just something about the long forgotten characters to see, companies, and it's not just Dynamite, there's other companies that are doing the same thing. So and the guys that are writing a lot of these stories aren't really getting paid a whole lot. So it's just fun to read and enjoy it and knowing that somebody is doing this for the love of it.
Right. Yeah. Like whenever it feels kind of not to say that other comic book artists and comic book writers are impure.
Right.
But whenever somebody does it for the pure love of the game, to just say, this is just out of, from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah. I mean, I'm no artist. You're an artist. I'm more of a writer. And it's great. It's cool to see, with these independent comic book creators just coming up with their own ideas and their own stories. And to me, I wish I had the talent to be an artist. And
it's yeah, it's really difficult because it's like you over the course of your life have had the I often like to say skill instead of talent, but you have had the you developed different skills, and one of those is just patience to be able to write and concoct a storyline and then build a universe. Me, I built the skill of being stubborn enough to say, well, dang it, this isn't perfect enough. Let's erase this and try again, and erase this and try again.
Yeah.
In fact,
Well,
I went so extreme one year that I said, okay, at the end of this year, I'm going to destroy everything I've made and build up from the ashes again. So what I did that year was I deleted all my digital drawings. Well, maybe not all of them. I think a couple slipped away by accident.
right.
And then I cut up all of my physical drawings and threw them in the trash.
Really? And see, I'm like completely opposite when it comes to writing. I still have stuff, in files and like, oh, I forgot about that, and I'll pull that idea, something that I wrote and discard it, and that will come back later in some other form. But I never throw anything away.
Yeah, see, I wish I had kept some of it. It would have been nice because I did this one giant splash page. It was a redraw of something from the comic books of in an issue of the Flash, and he was fighting. I think I always want to say like Captain Cold or something. I never remember his villain's name, but it was a really good drawing.
Yeah.
But then I literally cut it up and threw it away. I wish I had that one and maybe a couple others, but that was because I was just trying to like be really hard on myself and force me
Right.
to do better and build up from the ashes.
Now, when you draw, you're old school when it comes to pen and paper, pencil
Yeah,
and paper.
for the most part, yeah.
Right.
I have a thick stack really right up here on my shelves of just straight up sketchbook paper, but sometimes I do bring in digital with this guy right here. This is my Apple Pencil.
Yeah, you know what? Funny you should mention that. I just picked up it's not an Apple Pencil, but I got it at Daiso for like $7,
Oh yeah.
and it works well. I was like, I'm like, oh, this would be great, if I were, so I'm like, okay, but yeah, no, the going digital with everything, it's just, you know, digital is the way to go. And forgot, you and I, we had to move our entire lives from the United States over here. So comics, the digital format of comics has made it easy for you and I, especially this coming year, to get caught back up on a lot of the comics that we've missed while we've been away.
Yeah, I've missed so much over the past couple of years, and there are a couple of ones that my friends have drawn. I really like one of my friends. He does a lot of. I don't want to out his name just yet. Maybe
No, you don't have. Yeah.
but he does a lot of drawing, and recently it's been for DC.
Right.
And I want to get caught up on some of his work because I have a couple issues here, and he did a limited series, and it was really good, really well received. In fact, one of his characters popped up in Silent Night, and it was an original character of his. It's gone really well. I want to get caught up on that series. In fact, well, I'll just say it. Bernard Chang is he's the writer of Monkey Print. Well, not writer, but the artist behind Monkey Prince. He may have also done some writing. But yeah, it's an excellent series, and I want to get caught up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said, 2025, man, my plan is just to go full bore. Not only, like I said, on the Dynamite topics, on the Dynamite titles, but also the entire Elseworld series on DC. And I'm working my way through a lot of the Elseworlds. I forget where I've let off at. But if anybody who has not read any of the DC Elseworld stuff, there's some great stuff, but there's some other stuff too. Like I read a Batman one and I'll be honest with you, very rare is it hard to read a Batman comic, but this one was a hard read, and it's like, this is just not for me. I think it was Batman is a vampire. I can't think of the storyline. It's been about a month and a half since I read that one. Um, but some of the other Elseworld stuff. Now, I'm gonna go plan. I'm planning on going back and rereading Red Sun. That
Okay.
is that's probably the ultimate of all the Elseworld titles. Now, without anybody's who watches this, has not read it. The premise is hey, what if what if Kal-El landed in the Soviet Union versus the United States? How would all that turn out? And it's a terrific alternative history take. It's and have you read it?
No, I haven't, but I've heard about it. I,
Okay.
heard that basic premise, but that's really all I know. And I've
Yeah,
seen
no, it is
lots.
it is I got hooked. I'm like, okay. And without spoiling anything, the ending's going to throw you for a loop too. The ending's pretty cool. It's like, "Oh, that's a nice twist." It,
Um, well, I'll probably not read it just because I have so much on my backlog, especially because
right.
I'm mostly a DC guy
Yeah.
and I'm dipping my toes more into Marvel.
Right.
So I'm dipping my
But at
toes
some
more into
point
Marvel
at some
here.
point through your adulthood, you're going to read Red Sun.
I'll take your word for that because I was about to say you can spoil it for me if you like.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm not
Okay.
going to spoil it for you. Because I'm not going to spoil it for anybody because anybody watches may not have read it anyway. So, and I hate to be the spoil. But the one thing I can say, they made a movie, Red Sun, an animated movie that sucked.
Um,
It did not do the graphic novel justice. And speaking of justice, have you read the Injustice series?
was that is that the one where Superman basically kind of goes rogue?
Yeah, yeah. Hey,
Oh,
now
you're
real quick.
welcome.
Yeah, you
Thank
like that, huh?
you,
Thanks for that.
Jagan
Yep.
2112.
Yeah, from um I think it's Jagan 2112. And he's watching on Twitch. So no, you're welcome. I don't want to it's so easy for us to get talking about storylines that I've seen on other shows. They completely, dude, you spoiled it for me. So no, but it's a great it's a great read. Red Sun is a great read. Um, it's better than Watchmen, at least I think it is. And Watchmen was a great graphic novel. Um, but definitely well worth your time. And it's an easy read too. You can get through it in one day. Yeah, that won't take that long.
Okay, well, if it's an easy read, then I'll definitely read it. Because because I tried to read Kingdom Come per your recommendation in episode, I believe it was episode 0.
Yeah.
And that one was hard for me to read through because while I respect Alex Ross's art style, I mean, of course I do because I have his
Yeah.
art that I paid good money to get. It's just something about it in the comic book medium. It made it kind of a hard read for me. Though
Right.
that could have been the writing too. It may have just not like I won't put that solely on Alex Ross's artistic skill, but yeah, it was kind of hard for me to chew through a little bit. But who knows? It may be one of those situations where I come back to it a year later and I find like, whoa, this is amazing, and I can read it much easier. It might
Yeah.
just be one of those things.
Right. Well, it's like he did the Marvels project too with, you know, so that's, you've got Marvel Unlimited. It's on there too.
Oh,
I
sweet.
went back actually when I signed up for Marvel Unlimited last year. I went back and reread it, just just to put me in that right frame of mind. Something about comics of the 1930s, 1940s, that genre.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about this before, and we'll talk about it later in another episode. But talking about the Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay and the Escapist, and that the golden age of comics to me is the most. I mean, comics in general is fascinating, but when they were first starting out, that there's a whole romance, and the book Michael Chabon's book captures that time period, I think. So we'll talk more about that later.
You would have loved meeting somebody he lived near my hometown, and he regularly visited the local comic book store. Was Vic Carabata. Vic Carabata was an artist for Marvel back when they were Atlas Comics.
Oh wow!
So
yeah,
he was a golden age artist, and he didn't do or create any major titles that I know of, but he created titles that were major at the time, like Two Gun Kid and things like that. And he would regularly come to Heroes and Dragons in South Carolina, and do little signings there, and then draw stuff for people. And he was still a skilled artist at the age of, I believe, when he passed away. He passed away, I want to say, about 2 years ago, maybe less or more than that. But he passed away at the age of, I think it was 92 or 98. And whenever I saw him last, which was a couple months before moving here, like, he was still drawing, and he was still getting, people buying his artwork, because, he's still like, a master at the pencil.
Yeah, I know. But Atlas Comics, wow, that's was that pre-Timely or before time, after Timely, or obviously it was before Marvel Comics, but So wow, to be able to get to know somebody like that, it was there at the very beginning. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Awesome.
Yeah, and he was a nice guy too. Like, I remember, I was just visiting the shop just some random day of the week, and he happened to be set up there, and we talked for, I got to talk to him for probably more than an hour, and I got like an hour of his time. I got to talk about like what the industry was like back in the day and what's like now. And then he showed me some comic books that he really liked. There was a Spider-Man comic that he liked. He's just saying the stuff they do now, I can't imagine how they do it. And
well, the technology, I mean, technology's made it easier and things are more sophisticated. And obviously nowadays you got so many different storylines branching out, but back in those days, you only had a few titles.
Yeah.
It was just so different. The artwork obviously was completely different. It was more or less, for lack of a better term, it was more primitive back then. But also too, it was very pure. It was very. I mean, that's the beginning. And comics today and that's kind of what I like with Dynamite Comics, is they've taken these old characters and at least give them such a modern, given them. They've given them a modern touch, but they also they respect where these characters came from. So
now, Dynamite Comics, they're the ones that have that warrior girl. I can't remember her name. She has like the chainmail bikini.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I'm having a senior moment off the top of my hand. I can't think of. Shit. No, I can't.
Yeah, I can't.
Anybody can put it. Hopefully, somebody watches this and sets us straight and puts it in the comments section. I can't think of her name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It'll come to us after we finish. So.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, it always.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. Talking about the public domain comic books. What our little long-term project that we're doing at Navy Comics is coming up with our own version of, our own super team with our own original characters. Just to at least throw some ideas out there. And hey, if anybody wants to, got any ideas they want to share with us, let us know. I mean, you can go to NavyComics.com, see what we got, and, You can comment on it. Tell us but we're going to pull from the public domain wherever we can. So,
Right.
yeah. So, well, listen, before we wrap everything up, just shout out to everybody who's been watching.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think it was Jagan or Jagan 2112.
Jagan 2112. Yeah. And everybody who's going to watch now, we're recording this. It's Japan. It is about 9 at night here in Japan. So most of America is just waking up now. So, a lot of our views will come later after we sign off, not on the live stream. But yeah, for everybody who's watched us on YouTube and on Rumble, thank you very much. Also listening to the podcast.
Yeah, and thank you on Twitch as well, yeah.
Yeah, and on Twitch, yeah. So, and unfortunately, we don't have an @Navy Comics handle on Twitch. Somebody took that long time ago, so we're at Navy Comics TV on Twitch, but everywhere else we're at Navy Comics on the socials. And just got the website, and if you if you want to reach out to us, just feel free to reach out to us. I would say probably the best shot would do it on our X account and even via Facebook, because when we started doing this last month, we were in the slow process of setting up all the social media stuff. So I'm still in the process of doing a lot of that. And I'll be honest with you, man, I haven't looked at the X account really especially since I got back. So, but yeah, X would be the one place where anybody wants to drop us a line right now. I'll probably add a contact at some point here, a contact form on our webpage. So, but yeah, no, we just, we're coming up with some ideas to create our own little, Navy version of the Justice League, Navy version of the Avengers, and just for fun and just for our own entertainment. I'm more the writer, and obviously Matt here is more the artist. So we'll see what, hopefully we come up with something during the next year as we,
and I think that's what people forget. People forget to do it for fun, because you and I, at the end of the day, we have like no monetary goal. I mean, it would be nice for us to make money from this,
right,
but we're just doing this for fun. We're just two guys that love comic books, and we want to create a world and make things interesting and make things fun, and then have other people share in that.
Right. And I'm going to be honest, other guys are doing Patreon and Kickstarter. I'm at that point. I don't want to do that, because that's asking a lot of people to invest their money into us, when, I mean, at the most we're investing in ourselves right now is about $10.
Yeah. Though I have this giant mic over here that.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You bought a new bike. That's right.
Yeah, it's not connected yet because I'm still waiting on a new computer to come from overseas. But so the sound quality is still the same. But
actually talking about sound quality, you sound pretty good on my end here.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think it's because I'm also trying to power through a little bit and then trying to power up my voice rather than relying on a microphone. So maybe it's catching more of that.
Yeah. Well, I bought one of those mics, those expensive mics here several months ago. Plugged it in here. It sounded like crap. So the one that I use is like a $20 cheapo, I think, that I bought at Best Buy many years ago. And I think it sounds pretty good from what I can tell from all our podcasts.
Yeah, your voice comes across pretty clear. You sound like you do in person, at least for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah, zero complaints from me here.
Yeah. So well, listen. With all that said, you and I both. I know you got dad duty coming up here at some point, so you need to sign off. And but yeah, everybody who's watching, everybody who's tuning in, like I said, whether it's through the podcast or through the video channels, thanks a lot for watching. And check out our website. It's just a little. I've been trying to add stuff to it little by little.
I do want to add one more thing. So in Twitch, YouTube, Rumble, and YouTube comments, tell us your comic book New Year resolution. What is your plan for 2025? So comment your plan for 2025.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely share, we would ask you to like and subscribe, which, everybody does. But more importantly, leave a comment, because I know the more people who comment, the more people end up seeing, seeing this little show that we do. And the more visible, the more interaction, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're here to just talk about our love of comics and hopefully find other people like us. So
Yeah.
any sort of action on the channel helps, whether it's a comment, a like, even subscribing or following us on Twitch. That helps a lot. So anything to help us connect to our fellow comic book lovers.
Yep. And I know hopefully this month we'll be having a guest on from here in Japan. The only true comic book scholar that I know of, and I'll leave it at that, whose book is coming out about supervillains in about less than a week now. So her book's going to be, So we'll be, I'll be putting that out on the Facebook, on our Facebook page at Navy Comics. Where to not only where to find and where to find it, where to buy it on Amazon. It's going to be available regular print, hard copy, and also digital. There is a Kindle edition coming out, which is great. So, but we'll be putting that out. But the title of the book is called Supervillains, and just one word, supervillains, and that should get you our Professor Now, her book, and she's a professor here in Japan, and she's also a comic book scholar and a PhD on top of it.
Yeah.
Yep. So, all right. Well, listen, all that said, hey, everybody, thank you very much for watching and for listening. And we will be talking to you and seeing you very, very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Happy New Year's.